Welcome back to the Man Cave, everybody, for the ManTFup Podcast. I'm Kimmy B.
And Lenny.
And this is episode 53. Before we go any further, please remember to like, subscribe, share, and follow. We are absolutely everywhere. And make sure that you are also following along on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all of that. We love to see your comments. We love for you to engage. Lenny and I are both ready to go. We've had some Red Bull. Lenny had a power nap, and today is going to be interesting. So let's get right to it. In this edition of Florida, we just stay in the headlines for crazy, crazy stuff, Len.
Or good stuff. Both.
It hasn't been too much good stuff lately.
I don't know.
Let's be honest. Whatever. I'm not going to let you throw me for a loop this early on in the podcast. But one of the headlines that started popping up over the weekend was about a teacher here in Florida who is now under investigation by the Board of Education and the state after she allegedly showed, well, not allegedly, she admitted to doing it, after she showed her fifth grade class the animated film Strange World. The teacher's name is Jenna Barbie. She got a very fresh letter from the state, let me tell you. And one of her friends actually is the person who posted it on social media. So now it's kind of made the rounds and everybody is, giving their 2 cents, including us here on the ManTFup Podcast. But I read you basically what was in one of our local, or what was on one of our local news channels about Jenna, who basically had said she had sent out a permission slip to all the parents in her class, asking if PG movies were okay to be seen. I read another article where it said on that same permission slip, it did specify Disney and DreamWorks in particular, and then also gave a line where the parents could put any films they objected to their kids seeing off rip. Apparently, every parent signed the permission slip. Nobody opted out, and there were no additions. Like, there were no real comments, that were passed her way about, hey, I'd prefer if you didn't show this or that. So I guess she felt like Strange World was game. If you don't know, Strange World came out, I want to say in 2022. It was the first Disney animated film with an openly gay character. That is, of course, where the issue comes in. Apparently, one of her students went home, and I don't know how I don't live in the kid's house, so I don't know how the conversation went, but the parent was not happy, reported her to the school board. The school board then went to, obviously, the Board of Education, and here we are, like I said, having this discussion now. So Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah. You have some thoughts on this.
You know I'm not on the teacher's side of this.
Uh-huh.
And it's not, and this goes back to the whole argument about what teachers' opinions are in our teaching. So it's not like, I took a course in sociology one time and they showed us the movie The Wall, So it was pertinent to what that class was. So if you look at the movie that the teacher picked to show her students, it's based on her beliefs, not on her curriculum.
No, you've never seen the movie. You have no idea what it's about. It's literally 3 generations of a legendary family of explorers will find themselves in an uncharted land with strange creatures. If they want to survive from the numerous dangers, they must bridge their differences and work together. You're acting like this is a film literally based and predicated upon this one openly gay character. No, not the case at all.
But again, why did she pick that movie? I mean, has she come out and said, "Oh, I picked this movie because of this, this, and this is what we're doing"? And this is the problem with and the problem that parents have with the school system. And it's not necessarily just her; it's any teacher. And it's the same thing across the board.
You're not going to get rid of gay people by literally not showing movies or not acknowledging that they exist. These are fifth graders. These are what?
12 years old?
10, and I'll go even lower, 10 or 11. They literally said the film is perfect for kids 5 and up. Parental guidance 5 to 8. So
that's what Disney said. Yes,
these kids are no. This is what reviewers have said. That wasn't even a Disney clip. This is outside of that. It's like if you Google, is the film?
Yeah, and I'm sure the film is fine, and I'm sure it's PG, and I'm sure. I mean, it could even be G. That's not the point.
What is the point? I'm going to have a really hard time wrapping my brain around this because you're acting like they're showing homosexuality. And I mean, it's a Disney animated film. It's not a porn, for God's sakes. They're not showing people, doing one another. It's not, we're okay. So we're okay with showing kids Cinderella. We're okay with showing them Beauty and the Beast, where a person falls in love with an animal. By definition, that's bestiality, but cool. Like, we're okay with these things, but we're not okay with somebody just being an openly gay character. Doesn't mean that there was a whole relationship.
You're saying that we're not okay with it.
No, they're clearly not okay because somebody went to the Board of Education about it and has this teacher under investigation.
What we're not okay with is other people choosing what our kids are exposed to.
What is wrong with your child being exposed to an openly gay character on a television show or in
For me, nothing. But for some parents, Hillsborough County,
why?
Very, very Bible-oriented area.
They have fucking Gasparilla. What are you talking about? Like, you keep wanting to make us sound like we're all a bunch of, like, Pentecostal, like, whatever. No, this is a specific issue
Hillsborough
in
County?
the state right now.
Yes, yeah, because the state is predominantly
They have
Bible
a
Belt.
do you know they have do you know how big Hillsborough, Tampa, that whole area over there? Do you know how large the gay community is in Tampa? They've got one of the biggest pride events in the country.
Okay.
All right, so like, don't act like they're all frigid and oh my god, and it's
I'm
like
I'm not saying they're all frigid. Was this in?
You're talking about one parent.
Was this in downtown Tampa or in rural Tampa?
You're talking about
because
one
5
parent,
minutes
though.
out of
one parent. One parent could cost this teacher.
Yeah, so maybe that one parent never exposed their child to someone who was gay. Maybe that one parent didn't want their child to be
So then why
exposed.
didn't that one parent write that down when we're talking about movies?
Because
they didn't want to be identified as that person?
No, because the teacher didn't write down what movie it was. The teacher wrote down a Disney movie. So, you know what? I bet there's probably 30 or 40 Disney movies
agree.
I haven't seen.
I don't agree with you at all. People do not want to own their bias. People do not want to own their prejudice. People do not want to own their bigotry.
No, people don't want to let people have
What
their
is-
bigotry or their beliefs.
Okay, no. So
people don't want to let them have their beliefs.
So long as you said it.
Yeah,
so long as you said it. We don't want to let people have their bigotry.
Yeah,
You're literally villainizing a group of people. There's a kid in that classroom, I bet, that is gay, has a gay family member, a relative,
the same
whatever.
The same way. And, I just
don't understand what is wrong
I
with
just
being
saw
gay.
something on
What's
this.
wrong with it?
I just saw something on this. If you don't agree with anything that has to do with LGBTQ or anything else, you're a bigot. No, there's people who have religious beliefs.
Your religious beliefs have nothing to do with me. Nothing
Exactly.
to do with me.
They have nothing to do with you. So why does
Why
that
do they want
child?
the 10 Commandments in school?
Why
in
does
Texas?
that child? I don't.
Why do you want us to say one nation under
believe-
God in the Pledge of Allegiance? If you're right,
First
if
of all,
your religion
because
has
every
nothing to
religion
do.
has a God. Okay, let's go there.
They
Every
don't refer.
religion has a
We've
God.
had this conversation. They don't refer to them as God. I could pray to Jah. What if I'm an atheist? What if
Yeah,
I don't
I
believe
spoke
in
to a
God?
Muslim guy about that. He's like, I don't care if they say God.
One Muslim guy. Okay,
Yeah, one Muslim guy.
And guess what? If I'm an atheist and I
Listen.
shouldn't have to say it.
The point is, if they aren't exposed, they don't want their children to be exposed. They shouldn't have to worry about their teacher
But guess
picking
what?
a movie
The
that
other 30 kids' parents who are maybe more open-minded, more accepting,
or maybe more in fear of coming out and saying,
maybe more.
I didn't
What,
want
in
them to
fear
watch
of
that.
What? And why would they? In fear of what? Len, this is just. Here's the deal, though. Like, we talk about representation being important, and you'll sit on that side of the couch and you'll be like, I get it. So long as I don't have to see the representation, and that's not how it fucking works, because we shove heterosexuality down kids' throats from the time they come out of the womb. We are marrying our children to our best friends.
What's your point? What's your point?
Your issue
What's your
is with
point?
them being gay.
What's the?
You
what-
called it an
give me a
alternative
statistic.
lifestyle before.
Give me a statistic.
What does it matter?
Give
I
me
hate
a
when you do
statistic
this.
of how many heterosexual people are in
Kids
the
now?
world.
Are you ready?
In
No.
the world, give me a.
You want to talk about percentage right now?
Yeah.
I want to say with Gen Z, 30 to 40% of them identify as somewhere on the spectrum, the sexuality spectrum.
Yeah. Why?
What do you
Why
mean?
is
Why?
that?
Because they
Why
feel
is that
more
Gen Z?
comfortable and confident doing so because we
Or
thought
they're
we were
kids
making
and
progress.
they're confused
Trust and
or
believe me.
whatever.
Now why do they have to be confused? Because
There's a
they're not
percentage.
straight.
There's a percentage.
Again, a very small percentage. And
Show-
you're allowed
show me
to-
what's
do you
the
know what-
percentage of
do you know
people
how
that
many-
aren't
Do you know
confused?
how many doctors will tell you that sexuality is a straight up spectrum? Right? We're all a little bit, very, very few people are hardwired, dead set straight, dead set gay. And people are usually, it's fluid. It is what it is. So it's like the girl who can look at it. I can watch porn of two women and be like, yo, they're beautiful. It doesn't mean I necessarily want to go out and have sex with a woman, But I'm like, okay, they're beautiful. I'm not turned off by it. I'm not necessarily turned on by it. It's not something that I fantasize about. But like, I can see it and I can appreciate what it is, and I can understand, hey, I get why people are lesbians. The same way I can see two men in love.
Why can't you defend that parent that doesn't want their child exposed to it? Why?
Because they could have
why do you
opted
have a
out.
problem with that?
No, because what I'm saying to you,
they couldn't opt out because they were not told the
They
movie.
literally could have written down anything that has to do with LGBTQ. If you wanted to be honest, you should have just put that right there. You don't want your kid to see anything. What was it? It's a PG film. That means there was no kissing, there's no nudity. So the person just simply let it be known in the film that they're gay. What is wrong with that? What is so intrusive?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the film.
Clearly, the parent felt that there was something wrong with their 5th grader. Like, again, sexual ideas. You showed me a book in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, Kim, do you think that this is appropriate? Right? And I think we probably have the book somewhere. And there were some diagrams in there of straight couples. It was a very good, like, it's a picture book. I thought it was a lot to have in a school. I did. I agreed with you wholeheartedly.
Did you think it was a lot for a 10-year-old?
A 10-year-old just in general, I think if you had a 10-year-old who was inquisitive and wanted to know things, I think it was a great guide, right? Like, I think at home with your parents.
If a parent
Lenny,
chose to get that book and show it to their 10-year-old, that's up to them.
1,000%. But literally, right, and that's an extreme situation. I'm talking about there were pictures, there were literal diagrams of people's peepees. We had tatis out. Like, it was a lot. This is a PG-rated animated film. Again, I guarantee you there was no kiss, no nada. Literally, the person just somehow in conversation alluded to the fact that they were gay.
Forget about the film, okay?
No, this is what we're talking about.
We're talking about the film, but what we should be talking about is the teacher.
Lenny,
what we should be talking about is the teacher.
Why?
Because the teacher, took it upon themselves to introduce that to their students.
Introduce what? Introduce what, Len? The concept of a gay person? The concept of a gay person.
Kimmy, the concept of a gay person to kids who have no concept of a gay person.
Yeah, Lenny, gay people have been a part of the earth since the beginning of
Why
fucking
are you
time.
picking the gay people fight? It's not about the gay person.
No, it
it's
is.
about the fucking parents.
Yourselves.
It's about the parents who haven't exposed their kids.
They exist, and I'm sorry, we live in a world where gay people are, and they have rights.
And that's fine. That's fine. They can have all the rights they want.
There are 4-year-olds. There are 5-year-olds. So basically what you're saying is that we cannot, this is a problem with the school system. Like, the fact that you literally are sitting here debating this with me, again, it's an animated film with an openly gay character, right? If this wasn't Florida, if this was Boston or New York, I don't even think that we'd be having this it's literally because of this. We have a bill on the books that says don't say gay. We know that there is an open,
you're really perpetuating things when you say don't say gay. What's the name of the bill?
It's like HB 10, what is it, 1060?
Yeah, where in the bill, one line does it say don't say gay?
Are you kidding me?
One line does it say don't say gay? Because that's what it's called.
Because literally you cannot refer to the LGBTQ. It shuts down the use of pronouns. It doesn't allow people to properly identify themselves or to ask that they be properly identified. Like, what do you mean?
Don't you think this is getting extreme? Did you see that?
I do think it's getting extreme. Mind your fucking business.
Did you see? Yeah, but why can't it be the same for the people who don't want to be exposed to it?
What do you mean? Because what is, Lenny?
Why can't it be the same for the people who don't want to be exposed to it?
Because they're not walking through life as that person. That's like literally telling somebody to hide everything about who they are because it's not appropriate. It's not okay. It makes me feel uncomfortable. There are people who felt this way about women being in schools. There are people who have felt this way about different races and different ethnicities. It's called discrimination. Like, that's plain and simple. And this is a state where we don't have any anti-discrimination laws on the books that protect the LGBTQIA plus community. It's the same reason why our governor just passed legislation that allows our medical professionals to literally discriminate based on their moral and ethical beliefs. So if I don't believe in, as you like to put it, your lifestyle, that could be an unwed single mother. I don't have to treat you. Then why the fuck are you a doctor? Why are you a lawyer? If you want to now throw your morals into it, the whole deal with that, imagine if our judges went around, and this is the part that we're in, a judge is supposed to wield justice, right? They're supposed to come in unbiased, hear the facts, and make a decision. Imagine we start passing laws that we say now judges get to put all their fucking moral and ethical beliefs up in this.
Oh, they're doing it in the
They are, but it's not right, and we have a problem with it.
Yeah, they're doing it in the Supreme Court.
But now we're allowing medical professionals in this great country of ours to now decide whose lives are worth it and aren't. Like, okay, you didn't want to be vaxxed, right? Imagine if a doctor, flip it on the other side, right? You come in, you have COVID, you're dying, you're not vaxxed, and they're like, yeah, my moral and ethical views say I shouldn't treat you because you should have gotten a fucking shot.
Mm-hmm. I'll find another doctor.
So now a doctor gets to decide who lives and who dies. Yeah, but here's the problem, Len. They're also now extending that to payers, so to insurance companies, right? So if I don't have to pay your doctor bills, even though I pay you a premium, if I don't have to cover you based on my moral and ethical views, and how moral and ethical are our insurance companies, let's be honest.
Listen, I told you the more this gets exposed, the more there's going to be blowback. And there's blowback. But I still stand firm behind.
Lenny, where do you draw the line though? Like now you're mad. I'm taking this as a very specific example. I gave you your book. I gave you the book that you showed me, and I was like, yeah, if this is in our schools or if this is making its way around our schools, definitely inappropriate.
Again,
I'm talking about an animated film.
I have 2 children, okay, that have grown up around kids who are gay. They don't even realize it until they're teenagers.
Unless they're gay.
I get, well, that's
and right
fine.
Now in Florida, it's not okay to be a gay kid in our schools. It's not okay to be a trans kid in our schools. It's not okay. That is the message that we are sending. And when you sit here and you literally, there's nothing. The film is a PG-rated film. There's no sex scenes. We're not talking about or teaching gender identity. It's not like we're sitting there. Who the fuck
But
knows?
how do you know what the teacher was teaching? How do you know what the teacher's discussion was after that film? Did the teacher, start the discussion? Well, did everyone notice that there was a gay character in this film? It's
Lenny,
that...
in this state, I honestly highly doubt it. Once again, because of I don't even, how many teachers are quitting their jobs because of this legislation? Do you know how many teachers save lives, Len? There are kids out here who have parents who will never expose them. And I guarantee you one of 2 things happened. The kid who went home and said something to their parent either saw something, to your point, that they had never seen before and was like, hey, or I heard this word, or has heard negative things said, has heard these conversations about the things happening in Florida, right? Knows that in her house that's bad, and went home and snitched. You feel me? So, and again, I'm not blaming the child. What I'm saying is children are sponges. So while you think you're not exposing your kids to things, when you're sitting out here and you're either cheering on.
So you just hit on something very, very interesting. Children are sponges. So, this goes back to how the youth, Gen Z,
I love where you're going.
It is what it is. Has, become from 3% to 30% in the last 10 years. And why? And
because
and
they got the right to get married.
Let me give you. Wait. Now I'm talking about kids. I'm talking about kids.
Yeah, because I'm
talking about teenagers, and I'm talking about teenage girls specifically because that's the highest skewed sexual orientation.
Mm-hmm.
So where are the studies of the kids saying, oh, it was just a phase, it was just this, it was just that? Is that coming out there? Because a lot of it is peer pressure. A lot of it is
peer pressure.
A lot of it is trying to fit in to a community. So if you have a girl who doesn't really fit in this community, but hey, if I say I'm this, I can go over here and be welcomed into this community. Kids look for that. Kids join book clubs and chess clubs and football and everything else to be a part of a clique in a school. Mm-hmm. So when you have children
and
who
kids
might
also that were gay who want to fit in pretend to be straight, and they've been doing that for a long fucking time, haven't they?
They're kids,
especially men. No, especially whole grown ass men who get married and have children and all of these things in order to keep up norms and keep up appearances, and yet they're literally having gay relationships behind closed doors or at rest area fucking
Did you ever
bathroom.
See that Bill Maher Religious movie or a documentary?
I don't know.
Well, it's funny because he went to a place in Winter Haven, Florida, where it was a gay reform church.
Conversion.
Yeah. And
it's not funny, but okay.
no, I mean, it's not funny, but it's funny that you mentioned that because, the guy who was there was apparently lived his life gay and then decided he wasn't gay, that it was, and it's just, and I get it. People who are gay know they're gay. I get that, Kimmy. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. But
some of them fight it because, again,
it's
easier. Nobody chooses to ostracize themselves. Nobody chooses to lose their family, to lose their loved ones, to risk being pummeled in a Burger King on South Beach because you're holding hands with the person that you love. So are you going to
pick up the same fight for the Amish or the Mormons or any of these other people that keep their children tight and taught what they want them to learn until
they don't send their kids to public school either.
Well, in Utah, everything is Mormon. It's
and have you heard the stories that come out of Utah?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not right. But it's a choice. It's a choice of that parent to raise that child the way they want them raised. Mm-hmm. I don't have an issue with any of it, Kimmy. My kids, I went to my kids,
Would you have filed a report on this teacher for showing your child this movie? This animated film?
No, but I can understand why someone would. Because I had the luxury, or I wouldn't call it a luxury, I sacrificed a lot to put my kids in a school that I wanted them in. That was my choice.
But your school celebrates Pride Month. Your school,
exactly, which I don't care about. But there's a lot of parents who do. And if they can't afford private school or Catholic school, they rely on the public school system, which is why when you deal with the public school system.
But you realize that these people are a part of our community. This group of individuals is a part of our community.
Absolutely.
And they have the same rights to be acknowledged. Do you realize that the rate of suicide amongst adolescent youth that identify as gay is far, 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 far higher than young people who identify.
I'd like to know really just how much higher. Because teen pressures in general are enough, A
lot of your parenting people are
of course
notorious for it. And don't want to believe that children feel pressure because they don't know a real adult pressure. But that's a different conversation to have. LGBTQ suicide rates versus. Let's see here. Transgender teen suicide risk higher than cisgender peers. Study more than 2,000 adolescents across the United States showed that those who identify as trans have a higher risk for suicide. These are long articles, but are we really surprised by this? Findings confirm transgender have a higher odds of suicide. More specifically, about 85% of transgender adolescents reported seriously considering suicide, while over half of the transgender adolescents attempted suicide. According to one study, one of the key problems they face is this notion that everyone else in the world can essentially invalidate their identity just by telling them it's not okay to identify as trans. Their identities are hidden, and when they're hidden, it is easy for other people to discriminate against them. This causes a lot of pain and suffering. Do I need to go on? And that's trans. LGBT youth who considered or attempted suicide within the past year. Around 33% of U.S. cisgender youth aged 13 to 24 years had considered suicide within the past 12 months, compared to 53%. I'd say that's a considerable difference, no?
It's about
20%?
22% to 23% is what I'm reading right here. 8.9% of high school students attempted suicide in the past year. The percentage is highest among females, 11%, black teens, 11.8%, and lesbian, gay, or bisexual teens, 23%.
Mm-hmm. So a jump from 11%, 8% to 23%. Pretty big difference there, yeah? And literally cisgender, 33% considered, transgender, non-binary, 53% considered in this particular study. 9% of cisgender, so that's pretty much the same, 8%. This one says 9. Trans, non-binary, 19%. So this is the thing that blows my mind is, again, you don't, as an adult man, you don't want to agree with somebody's lifestyle choices.
No, but
I'm putting this out there in general, Len. You don't want to agree with how somebody or who somebody is as an adult, fine. When you're attacking children, though, and that is what's happening indirectly, when you are literally saying, like, this is written into legislation, you are banning, you are telling teachers that if a student comes to them and asks them to identify them in this way, you are not to do it. It is grounds for sanction. It is grounds for an investigation. It is grounds for dismissal.
So, and listen, I think that teachers should be able to help a student, get them counseling, get them in wherever they need to be to feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. Do I feel like a third grader needs to be called they, them, or something else in front of? So if you have, let's just say,
if a third grader
let's just
at
say
that
the
point,
percent,
though, where they feel that way, you don't think that you should
let's just say
do
the
it?
percentage is one student for every 50.
And it could be way less than that. I don't
Okay,
know then.
what you got one student in a room of 50 other students.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that student has to be special.
What do you mean? It's
that student.
It's like their name. It's how often do you pronoun somebody anyway? Like, how often do you address somebody with their pronouns?
How about just Mr. and Mrs. or
they're in third grade, so we're not.
So if their name is Tom, you call them Tom. Why?
Yes.
Why? It's like you're.
But if
that is kind of what people are talking about. You're putting kids are sponges. Okay, kids are sponges. So you have 49 third graders that are hearing the teacher call this person they, them, or why, whatever it is, which is why you have kids who tried to identify as animals. I want to be called a rabbit.
Can I tell you something?
But it's
Can I tell you something? That is so funny that you said
sponges.
that. No, I was watching a show the other day, and this went back to like, what the fuck was it? Oh my God. And I died laughing because I remember us having this conversation many, many, many episodes ago. And we were discussing a school somewhere where a parent basically petitioned to have litter boxes put in the bathroom because their kid was identifying as a cat. I just saw something about this, and this was not a taken to the extreme, but a parent was referencing that their child, when growing up, thought they were a cat and would eat under the table. And this was like in the 80s, right? And they indulged it, right? The kid was 7, 8 years old, whatever, and he would sit under the floor. They didn't go so far as to get him a litter box. This is not new. Kids wanting to be sleeper.
No, it's not new. You know what's new? You know what's new? What? Now they're eating under the desk in school. That's what's new. If you want to let your kid act like a small animal at your house, go right ahead. That's your prerogative. But don't bring it into the group of 50 sponges. That's the point, Kimmy. Kids are easily influenced, and they're easily swayed.
Lenny, but
easily.
If you think for a second, a little boy is looking at his friend Timmy, who now wants to be Tina, and going, I want to be like that. Don't think they're as easily swayed down that route, because they got to deal with dads like you and dads like a lot of other people that want their manly boys. I mean, it's hard enough for a guy.
If Joey came home tomorrow and said he wanted to be Tina, I wouldn't give two shits.
You think he would, though?
I wouldn't give two shits.
With a dad that drives around with a man-the-fuck-up truck and everything else?
Yes. My kids would come to me with that.
I don't.
In a second.
I don't.
My kids know I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
I told you, one of my kids' teachers has, I went into their room, and she's got the rainbows, she got the BLM stickers on the chalkboard in the room, which I don't care. Okay? And mind you, no other parents complained either. And I go to...
But this is my point.
I go to bougie
But this is my point
school.
to you. I think so for all of the people out here making it seem like so many parents are outraged by how their children are being quote unquote indoctrinated, one parent took issue with their child seeing this film. One parent. So to your point about how the minority just has a bullhorn and is speaking for everybody, again, I will say it repeatedly. They didn't let us vote on HB whatever it was. They didn't let us vote on that bill that we have dubbed the Don't Say Gay bill.
No, we should have voted on it.
And we most definitely should have. So I honestly...
They don't want us to vote on that stuff.
I don't think that the majority of parents are worried about their schools turning their kids gay or trans or have a problem with their young children being around other students who may be gay or may identify as trans or may be transgender or may have parents
I don't know if I wouldn't say... I don't know that I wouldn't say the majority in the state of Florida.
No, I don't. I really and truthfully, I think we have bigger fish to fry. I really and truthfully do believe it. Now, do I think that they want their children being shown books about how to have sex? No, I don't think any parent wants to have their kid. I honestly think that the U.S. is such a pure. It's so funny to me. We're the biggest purveyors of porn on the planet in this country, right? Yet we are such a puritanical society, and we're based on puritanical beliefs, right? The Puritans, that is who came here. You know what I mean? And it's just funny to me because we've got some of the highest rates of teenage pregnancy amongst quote unquote developed or, superpower countries. When you think about HIV and AIDS, huge impact here. HPV, different sexually transmitted diseases. We've taken away access to contraception and condoms and all kinds of other different things. Federally, that was a federal mandate back in the 2000s by the Bush administration. Remember, if you were like Planned Parenthood or whatever, if you were advocating abortion or whatever, you weren't going to get funding. A lot of high schools have a difficulty passing out, galactics and things like that.
We've come far from what the founding fathers wanted this country to be. And, what did
they want this country to be? They were sleeping with their slaves.
They wanted it to be free of religion and government. They wanted it to be free of a lot of things in government. They wanted the people to be able to have their own little place to be and their own little clique to be in.
Well, that's because that's how most of them ended up here. Like, let's be clear, right? I mean, we had some criminals that got sent over here, but a lot of them were fleeing religious persecution. And we came from a king who literally, if you know the story of England, the reason why there ended up being an Anglican church was because, motherfuckers wanted to get divorced. Like, they wanted to have new wives. And the Catholic Church was like, yeah, no. And so you're like, okay, bet, watch this. I'm going to be the head of my own church, and I'm going to make the rules. And then we're going to kick out the Protestants, and we're going to kick out the these and the that, and, And so, I mean, religion has always been divisive. I just am frustrated that we're at this place where, again, when we talk about situations like this is really what we're concerned about in 2023. Like, this is craziness to me because this is a community that has been, will always be, and is only getting more empowered to be themselves, right? This isn't, and again, if you have conversations with members of the LGBTQ community, you're going to find them all over the spectrum. The same way you love to throw at me, I have a black friend who says this and that, and I talked to a Muslim guy who said this. Like you have your one-offs, and that's cool. Like everybody is entitled to their opinion and their feelings, and everybody's not going to fall in line and feel the same way. But
what makes my friends the one-offs and yours not?
Because when it comes to the LGBTQIA community, how many like?
I mean, I heard recently that there's that the gay community is kind of upset this whole.
When it comes to trans issues, you're talking about the trans thing. Yeah, no, I mean, and I have multiple.
So now there's division among the LGBT community.
But again, there's division among races. Like, have you hung out in South Florida?
I'm just saying.
I mean, there's literally prejudice amongst the Latino community. There's prejudice in the black community. Like, there's people walk around with their prejudice and their bias.
But again, why are my one-off friends
Lenny,
less qualified than your?
I didn't say. First of all, when we're talking
because you always say, "Oh yeah, it's one Muslim." Oh,
how many Muslim friends do you have? How many Muslims do you hang out with?
I mean, I probably know.
No, that's not what I said. No, I know a dozen. A dozen Muslims.
No, that I know are practicing Muslims.
Lenny, give me three names, first names. three Muslims that you know.
Good question.
Okay, so my point is, I'm not really friendly with any practicing Muslims. You know what I mean? Have I had conversations in religious circles about, the religion? Of course I have. I don't ever sit here and pretend to speak on that. I spent a lot of time in quote unquote urban communities. Like, I know who I grew up with and who I grew up around, and I know how I spent the first 12 years of my career and what I do, and I think I know what I studied in college. And so when I think that I have a pretty good insight or have had some pretty in-depth conversations, for sure. And when it comes to I'm an ally, this. I am a pride flag waving, my godfather was gay. My grandmother married a gay man so he could stay in the country. He was a very, 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 very successful hairdresser. Like, I mean, this was in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised around this, not necessarily being told, hey, that's a gay person. That wasn't even what it was. But I was just around people who loved me. You know what I'm saying? And then as you get older and you start to ask questions or you start to get,
Mm-hmm.
you hear conversations. So, I mean, when I speak from a lot of personal experience and personal conversations. Also, what I do, like as a radio personality, as a person who has been a community activist, like that I'm highly engaged with SunServe and the Pride Center and different LGBTQIA plus organizations. I'm also very active with different social justice movements and things like that. So, I mean, this is the shit that I talk about. Like,
I feel you.
I'm not saying that you don't. I don't sit here and claim to be an expert on construction.
Did you do a poll on this teacher thing?
Did I do a poll on the teacher? Like on our website? No, this literally just came about within the last day or so. But I probably will. And again, I'm sure there are some people who would be incensed. I just don't think, again,
people want the schools to be like the judges. They want the teachers to be like the judges. The teacher can be whatever they want to be when they leave that school campus. But the parents want the teachers to be like judges. They want them to be unbiased and...
But it's funny, if the movie wasn't known as the first Disney film with an open... Like LeFou from Beauty and the Beast, right?
How about Aladdin?
What about Aladdin?
I mean, look, he's clearly gay.
Oh my God! Shut up,
the genie.
Len.
The
Get
genie
out of here.
The genie's clearly gay.
Why is the genie gay? Because he lives in a freaking. Because he lives in a.
Yeah, look at him.
What is that thing called? A lamp. In a lamp.
Hello.
No, Lenny, you're wild. Like, how do I even like? What is a rebuttal for that? Aladdin. Like, you just pull shit out of your ass. It's crazy.
Well,
The point is, if Disney hadn't stated this, would we have even known? Like, people speculated that LeFou had the biggest crush ever on Gaston in Beauty and the Beast, right? And then it came out later on down the line that, yeah, he is, in fact. We've heard this about numerous different Marvel characters. Numerous.
Okay.
So my point is, we're okay with these characters until somebody comes out and says, hey, by the way, they're gay? And then it's like, oh, my God,
again,
I hate him.
you
loved him.
You're making it about the character, and it's not about the character. It's about the teacher. It's about the teacher.
You have had no problem with this teacher at all.
And one person, I completely understand
and
that.
one person had a problem
and
with her.
that could be fine. But if there's one student that can have an issue with the other 50, there can be one parent who has an issue with the other 50. It's got to work both ways. It's got to work both ways.
But to your point, before you said these kids walk through life and wouldn't even be known it and whatever. So the kid who went home, what do you think are the chances that if they had a parent who went to the school board and they had a parent who took it to the next level and made this complaint, what do you think the conversations are like in that household regarding the LGBTQ?
Well, there's two sides to that coin. There could be no conversations about it, for one. Mm. There could be, a staunch non-belief in it. Mm-hmm. Or this person could be just getting their 15 minutes of fame. Mm-hmm. So, there's a lot of things that parent could be doing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the parent's name's not being mentioned, so I don't know how they're getting famous out of this.
Well, I'm sure they're out there somewhere on their social media or locally.
But again,
on the local
news. They clearly take issue with this. And I guess to me, that's just the bigger, the bigger conversation is that
I'll tell you,
you just don't like somebody because you don't agree with who they are as a person.
Yeah, but you're going again to the people. I'm going to the teacher.
I'm
going to the teacher who has 50 different students with 50 different backgrounds.
So you want her to make so literally
I want her to be
49 of them were okay. So I should kowtow to the one who's got a parent who doesn't want her kid acknowledging that there are gay
people.
But
you want everyone else to kowtow to the one gay person in the class.
What do you mean?
You said 1 in 50.
No, how is that? But how is that kowtowing? How is that? That's just simple representation. If there's a whole family and one member of that family is gay, let me tell you something. That's pretty much the average family. Hate to say that to everybody watching, but I mean, there's one in every bunch. Like, whether they're open about it or not, I bet you've got a gay person in your family. I don't care how much Bible thumping you do. I don't care how anti-LGBTQ you are, I don't care how against your religious beliefs it is, that's not going to protect you from having a gay member of your family. You know what I'm saying?
And that's fine.
But is it though? It doesn't seem to be. And it seems that we really have some ignorant ass people in this state that believe if kids don't hear about it, then maybe, just maybe, we can keep them from turning gay. You don't turn kids gay by watching a Disney movie with one gay character in it. Like, what is the issue? Like, because my question is, that's the issue. It's nothing else about the movie. The issue is the gay character. That is the issue that the parent has.
Yes, that's the issue with the movie the teacher showed them. The issue I have is that the teacher showed it to them in the first place.
But why?
Because it's not the teacher's responsibility or
to acknowledge that a group of people exist. Like, here's the problem: you're making them stand out. You're highlighting. You're highlighting by saying that this movie is wrong for kids in this grade because of this particular character.
Nobody said the movie's wrong. Nobody said the movie's wrong.
No, you're literally saying she shouldn't have showed it because of this one particular factor.
She showed it to the kids because of her personal beliefs.
What are you talking about? The movie is about a family overcoming obstacles. You don't know why. You have no idea why she showed this movie.
Well, I would bet that's it.
What personal belief? That being gay is okay? My God. No. That's horrible.
Uh-huh.
Are you kidding me? Len, I just don't see the moral high ground that you are trying to rest on is wild.
I can't believe that you can't understand or validate these people that believe strongly in the opposite of what you believe.
No, I have to. Because
what?
Because
they're religious or they feel a certain way.
Because it comes from a place of hate. That person has done nothing to you. You don't like gay people because you don't like the thought of being gay. That's period. That's it. These people aren't hurting anybody. They're not out here causing harm. They're not a nuisance to the community. Like, that's not what this is, right? Like, you tried to throw at me, but what about members of the KKK? And I was like, yeah, obviously, I strongly disagree with that. Now, I have to respect their right to freedom of speech if they want to go set up a protest, but they're hurtful, harmful people. So
the religious people that don't believe in...
They're trying to take away people's rights. Yeah, that's hurtful and harmful. Like, you're using your religion to say these people don't deserve equal representation. They don't deserve access. They don't deserve to be acknowledged. Yes, that is bad. All because you do not agree with how they were born. You do not agree with a man loving a man. You do not agree with a woman loving a woman. Like, that doesn't hurt you or affect you or impact your life in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't. Now, a white man out here saying that white people are better, that they deserve more, that they should be the ones with all the power, like that, like that's what you're trying to compare this to.
I didn't mention anything about that. I'm talking about religion.
When you throw that to me, okay, but in a religion, you're saying that your religion is right. Your religion is better.
I'm saying why wrong. Why does that 1/50th religious person have less say than the 1/50th gay person?
Over my life, if I'm a gay person, why should a person's religion take precedent?
In school.
Because that's where this is coming from. That's still people's religious views taking precedent over who someone is. Period. We canceled Pride Month in Miami-Dade County. Canceled it in high schools. This was before they extended that particular bill, right? This is an entire group of people, some of which are full adults, some of which are already 18, that are fully acknowledging who they are or are supporting their friends who fully acknowledge who they are. Some of these kids have been kicked out of their homes for being who they are. Some of these kids, are out here surviving on their own. They've got the kind of hustle that you talk about having admiration for because they didn't, they didn't feel comfortable. They weren't welcome in their houses anymore. It's never an easy decision. But my point is, they stopped acknowledging that this group of people existed. The fight that this group of people have gone through, it's like we have Women's History Month. You have a governor who literally wants to eliminate women's studies from higher education.
Yeah, he's a little cuckoo.
No. This is all of it, though, Len. This is, if you go back to that religious book, remember, men are the leaders, women are submissive. This is all of these things. So we're starting to see it all kind of, trickle in. Like, people took issue with Elsa, like with Frozen. Frozen was the best movie ever until somebody started to imply that maybe Elsa was gay. You know what I mean? Or somebody started, actually, and the girl who started the hashtag is from South Florida. It was like, give Elsa a girlfriend. Right? Like, because, and this is a young person. She was in high school, but it was like, we want the representation. We have been watching since we're 3. The Little Mermaid. A girl give up her voice, literally. Ariel gives up her voice for a man that she's met once.
Okay.
Like, this is this.
What's wrong with that?
A woman giving up her voice.
What's wrong with that?
To be with a man. Do you not see the bigger picture? A woman giving up her voice?
Yeah.
You think I'm not going to take issue with that? 53 episodes we've sat on this couch, and Lenny thinks I'm not going to take issue.
You can take all the issue you want.
Because that is historically how women are portrayed, as less than, as submissive.
Is that historically how women are?
No.
Percentage-wise, is that historically how women are?
No. I don't believe so.
You believe that 50% of the women out there are not okay with being the wife to a husband?
Being a wife is different than giving up your voice. Like, there's 2 different things.
So you believe that that 50% or more of the women out there,
Lenny, do you know that being a housewife is a relatively new phenomenon?
Okay.
Like, this isn't, people.
They used to work
they had to survive. Like, this is, so no, I think that women have always.
Being a housewife became a luxury.
Have always worn the boots. You know what I mean? Have always been in the fields, have always been side by side with their men. Do I think that they knew how to.
But their man always made the.
Well, yeah, because that's how the laws were set up. Like, that is, do you notice as women started to get more rights when we could finally have bank accounts? Like, let's think about marriage in general. It's a contract not between a woman and her husband. It's a contract between 2 men, the father and the hubby. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until what? The 1900s that women actually started getting a say.
I don't believe that 50% of the women would not prefer to have a man in a male role.
No. There's a difference between having a man in a male role and having no voice. Len, what are you not understanding about?
But that's pretty much the way it is.
What?
If Nestor goes home and his wife comes off with some crazy ass shit, Nestor's gonna say, "Sorry, no."
I've met Nestor.
He's gonna say, "Sorry, no. That's it. That's the law. No."
That's the law. Who are you, you nut job?
Because it's the fact. Because somebody has to be in charge.
Like, because it has to be in charge. Oh yes, because. That's right. I forgot, because we're so weak and frail and fragile.
It has nothing to do with that.
Can't make a good decision. There are women out here that run Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah,
there are women out here.
I'm not saying there's not.
And work and are still.
I'm not saying there's not.
And are still phenomenal wives to their husbands.
Yeah.
You don't have to lay down the law for every woman. That is not how.
No, some of them lay down the law for their husband.
And you think less of those men. You do. And we know that. You've said it numerous times on this podcast, so don't try to say that you don't. But the point is, no, I know Nestor's wife. And first of all, Nestor wouldn't marry a woman who would say no crazy shit. Like, Nestor's wife is brilliant. She's highly educated. And I think that they have probably a pretty good, co-working kind of
Ever had to put your foot down?
I'm sure. I'm sure. And I'm sure she's had to put her foot down too. I'm not like
probably.
Like, what are we talking about right now? I'm giving you an example of what we have historically seen in terms of media and entertainment are women giving up everything or playing the damsel in distress or needing a man to rescue them. That's all I'm saying.
All right, well, we got to wrap this up.
This is Lenny, don't do that. I'm the one that set the 45 minutes. Don't cut me the fuck off. It's rude.
I'm not
We
cutting
have an
you
extra
off.
5 minutes. Let me finish my fucking thought. You're doing you're so disrespectful sometimes. You know how many times you go off on fucking tirades and tangents that make no fucking sense? And I could say, we need to wrap this up right now, but I don't. Like, so let me finish my fucking thought. You're literally you're walking proof of everything that we just talked about.
Maybe.
Not maybe. Like, you are. Like, that's just mad rude, bro. We need to wrap this up.
At some point, we do.
We do, Len.
We got off tangent.
No, we didn't. Because literally, you're mad about a movie. The teacher took it upon herself to push her ideals. And all I'm saying is, you are all okay with the other 700 movies that have pushed your ideals since the beginning of time. So that's all we're saying right here is it's one film with one character. And this is a crusade against a group of individuals, in particular in this state, period. Like, it's silly. It shouldn't be making national headlines. You would not have filled out a form and gone to the State Board of Education. And in most places, showing a film wouldn't be grounds for an investigation. We have teachers out here who are molesting students.
Yep.
On the regular.
That's a problem.
We get a headline every week down here in South Florida about this. Worry about that. Those are the people you should be investigating. Not the teacher who showed a PG Disney movie that's good for kids ages 5 and up to her 5th grade class.
Okay, you win.
You're a dick. Thank you for watching episode 53 of the ManTFup Podcast. Like, that was so patronizing and condescending. Like, subscribe, share, and follow everywhere. I told you. This is what happens when we have Red Bull.
Somebody turned the air off.
No, it's hot as balls.
Yeah, I know. Did you turn the air off?
Anyway, like, subscribe, share, follow. Please leave your comments on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all of that good stuff. And we'll be back for episode 54 at some point if Len is still alive and I haven't quit. Okay? All right.
Peace.
Bye-bye.